Reminder tomorrow, the
governor,
sitting Governor Hobbs, is going to be joining us straight up at 2 o'clock. We will get her. We'll dive a little bit deeper. Joe, after the State of the State, one of the things you said was she had some ideas, but it felt like it was lacking some detail. So hopefully we'll get a chance to get some more detail.
Really excited to talk with her. We've been on the air almost a year now, and we know Governor Hobbs, a very busy person, and we're looking forward to it. I
kind of wonder when it comes to 2025 how well she is going to be able to work with the legislature, especially when you have a sizable contingency that is the Freedom Caucus in the Arizona legislature that said the single most important task that we will work on over the coming 2 years will be to produce the greatest positive benefit for the people of Arizona possible is our effort to fire Katie Hobbs, Chris Mays, and Adrian Fontes in the 2026 election.
That doesn't sound very optimistic either.
They are prioritizing party politics over passing anything, any policy. I would think, and again, maybe this is Pollyanna-ish of me, but I would think that if you are far right or far left, you go, okay, I don't like the policy of the opposing team. I don't like where they're going with things. Here are the things I want to get done. And then I would take good stock and I try to figure out, is there anything within my list of priorities that might also match up with their list of priorities where we could find some middle. Right. I might not get everything I want, but something is better than nothing. But that's not how the Freedom Caucus is looking at it. They're saying their single most important issue is to defeat the Democrats.
Well, and that's the biggest problem that I see is they don't even have an opportunity to look at the priorities of each party and say we have a potential to come to some commonality and some agreement here when their priorities, one side is let's get the top people fired and the other side is, hey, let's work on these things. How do you even come to the bargaining table when
I don't know.
One side wants to just fire the other people?
Well, what if, to defend what the Freedom Caucus says here a little bit, maybe some of the things that Hobbs says aren't really even issues to them. Is that a possibility?
Sure.
So Hobbs says she doesn't like, for instance, the ESAs, right? She doesn't like, she wants guardrails around the ESAs. She talks about ESAs going the wrong places, waste, fraud, that kind of thing.
Freedom Caucus has trumpeted the ESAs.
They say the ESAs are great.
They want more.
Best thing we have.
Right.
Right. So they would probably disagree with that even being an issue.
Of course.
All right. So what are some things then that they might agree on as even being an issue where there might be room for at least starting a conversation? Because they already signed the tamale bill. I don't know what else they're going to do there.
Well, housing. We saw the casita bill last year go through. So I think there is a potential on housing.
They both agree it's a problem.
Yes.
Okay.
That I think there's a potential there. I think we touched on veteran homelessness. Both sides would agree that veterans, they champion that cause. Veteran homelessness, ending that. They would agree it's a problem in terms of how to fix it. Not agreement early on, but I think they would both agree there, too.
So the Democrats would probably say homelessness is a major issue. We need to get people into houses.
Yes.
The Freedom Caucus would say homelessness is an issue. They're really annoying. But they can both agree that at least we can start with homeless veterans. Let's get them into housing. Both would agree on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Looking through Governor Hobbs' list from yesterday that I was kind of bullet pointing.
That's what I did, too. I cheated.
Border security. And fentanyl pills that were seized last year, I think both sides would agree border security is a big issue as well.
Okay.
That one actually, I think, number one. If you're going to talk about one that the GOP is going to say is an issue that Hobbs was trying to extend the olive branch, I think border security.
All right. So how much do you do with that? Because one of the big issues that we're going to have in Arizona is the lawsuits around the SB 314, the Proposition 314, which is questionable as to whether or not there's even constitutionality to it because enforcing border security is a federal issue.
Right.
But in what she's saying, though, she can at least deploy the National Guard to help stop some of the drug trafficking, right?
And what we've seen play out nationally over the last week or two as well, and I haven't dove very deeply into it. You, I'm sure, know more than I do, is it the Lake and Riley Act?
Yeah.
I believe that would potentially somehow supersede some of the issues that the courts have gotten involved in, that it would
they're all going to get involved
theoretically try to bypass the courts.
Yeah, the Lake and Riley Act, if you're unfamiliar, would mandate some deportation for some lower level crimes than what call for deportation right now.
And there are a number of Democratic senators. I know Senator Kelly and Senator Gallego have both signaled support.
Yes.
Of it.
Yeah. All right, so maybe there's some common ground there that they can find.
Yeah.
Will the Freedom Caucus listen, or is the Freedom Caucus more interested? Now, this is going to be a real telling thing, and we're saying this because they are not the ones in control of the governor's mansion right now, so they're not the executives. Is the Freedom Caucus more interested in making Hobbs look bad, or are they more interested in, say, creating a safer border? Which one is a bigger issue for them? Because they said their number one biggest issue is defeating Democrats, which means giving them no wins, even if it's cutting off their own nose to spite their face.
I think it's a bit of a teeter-totter. I think right now what they've said is making Hobbs look bad is priority one, and along with Fontes and Mays. But I think they're constantly throwing the grass up in the air and trying to see which direction the breeze is blowing. And if they feel like their seats could be up for grabs as well, and if they feel like their constituents are going, whoa, don't like that so much, then it could pivot. Then they might feel like they need to
and
make
also
some
if they can
deals
take
on
credit,
some things.
right? If they can take credit for the border,
spearheading it,
or oh, thank goodness,
we got everything we wanted. We got the governor to bend to our will.
We forced her to do this. Yeah, that's the politics of it all. One of the things that I think where Hobbs needs to maybe bend a little bit too is that one of the bills that she vetoed last year, and I haven't dove too deep into it, although she didn't speak a whole lot on it after she vetoed it. It was a bill that was passed in May of last year and then sent to her desk, and she said no, and that had to do with easing some of the city's mandates. So the GOP said basically the city can. Any city can do whatever they want. So if the city doesn't want to allow multifamily housing, say they want to zone single-family housing.
Okay.
The city can do whatever they want, right? Which is interesting because this legislature likes to tell cities that they can't do what they want, right?
Yeah.
So they want to say when it comes to housing, cities should be able to say single-family housing is fine. You don't have to zone multifamily housing. Hobbs said, no, we want to make sure that the cities don't have so much local control. Is that an area where she could say, you know what, if cities want to do what cities want to do, then they should do it? I mean, I feel like that might be an area where she might be able to bend a little bit in order to get something back.
I think it all ties back into what you said, too, housing. Yeah. And ultimately, if the end goal is increasing the number of units and affordable units to get more people in them, it's all about this game of posturing. How can you position it as a win for your side?
That's all.
So yes, if she can frame it as a win for her in the housing subject, then I could see that happening.
This housing shortage thing, the local leaders are fighting over who's at fault for the lack of housing.
Thanks for watching the Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.